she's got that sass in every way. Talking fast, not a pause in sight. Leanie's got my head in a spin tonight. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Podcast queen with a wicked smile, running jokes mile after mile. Try to speak, but in she slides. Leanie makes it a wild ride. With a wicked smile, running jokes mile after mile. I try to speak, but in she slides. Leanie makes it a wild ride. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me in. This ain't just your show to win. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me. This ain't just your show to win. Oh, shut up, Leanie, can't you see? You talk so much, it's drowning me. With your white hair and sassy flair, just give me a breath, let me share. Oh, Leanie, don't get me wrong, can't imagine your life without your song. But girl, you've gotta let me. This ain't just your show to win. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. So here I stand with my mic in hand, trying to keep this show as planned. Leanie laughs, guess it's gonna stay a little secret every day. Oh, 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 oh. It started with a chat, just a few of us there, talking about life and the stuff we all share. From kids to chaos and the mess we make, we bonded over laughs and every mistake. From bad hair days to a joke or two, no topic was off limits, nothing taboo. We laughed till we cried, had each other's backs. A sisterhood formed in the middle of tracks. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From late night texts to early morning calls, we've been through it all, big and small. From talking fashion to the crazy stuff, we've got each other's backs when life gets tough. We send memes and pics of the day gone wrong and the occasional "can you believe this song?" We share everything, no secrets to keep, like a wild dream that we never want to sleep. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. From Tennessee, where the music plays, to sweet tea nights and lazy days. From England's hills to the country roads, our sisterhood's a bond that forever grows. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. Through the highs and the lows, we've been there. When the world feels heavy, we just don't care. We're loud, we're bold, we're a little bit wild. always there for each other, with hearts so mild. Sisterhood of the chat, we're strong and we're loud. From West Virginia, Liverpool, we're proud. From Texas to Australia, we've got the best. Lifting each other up, we pass every test. From the East Coast to the West, we cheer. From Indiana to New York, we're always here. So here's to the sisters who make life so sweet. We've got each other, no defeat. From the chat to the heart, it's all the same. We're a sisterhood forever in the friendship game. According to Leanie, the eclipse is to blame. But truly the Lord brought us together, and we'll never be the same.
But clearly it's not. Don't know what that's about. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Listen, it is everybody get your antacids out. Y'all, I just got mine out. I'm gonna be eating these all night. Y'all, my stomach hurts. I'm so sick of it hurting. Hello, everybody. There is my youngin, C. Anderson. Hello. What's the sitch? Lots of situations going on. Possum. Jamie, good to see you. Aussie True Crime, good to see you. Sunshine. It's been a while. I hope you've been doing okay. I have been dealing with life. Boy, girlfriend, do I ever get that. I get it. Jamie says today was 96 degrees. It was 97 here as well. Listen, I think anything over 90, we should just call it miserable. Because I don't care if it is just a point over 90. Hot is just hot. There's no way to explain it. Possum, good to see you, love bugs. Oh, good to see you. Yesterday, no lie, you guys, I was wearing leggings and a hoodie still. Today, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. So, man, it's no joke. It's no joke. I don't like that it just goes from well, for some of you, it probably, some of you guys probably don't say as cold as I do. So you might, not have worn a hoodie for as long as I did. But for me, it always goes from I'm cold and cold to I'm freaking hot. And so I guess it'll never change. Good to see you guys. Listen, sorry about I don't know, did I schedule this last night or the other night? We had some things going on in our family, you guys, and there was no way I could go live. I scheduled it, and then some things happened, and everybody's fine now. Everybody's good. Thank the good Lord. But everybody's taking turns trying to kill me. That's what I believe is happening. I think they just want me to be so stressed out. No, my family adores me, thank God. And there's probably a lot they don't tell me because they know that I do stay stressed out a lot. But there are just some things I need to know about. And man, it's a blessing when you have a really big family. It is. There's always someone to talk to. There's always someone to fight with. There's always someone to love a little bit more. There's always someone. But also, when you have that big family, it feels like it's always something right after another, like someone being sick or in the hospital or hurt or so all the scary things also happen as well as all the fun stuff, right? I've got 5 kids, 4 which are married, and 10 grandchildren, and that's a lot. And then not to mention my own parents, and my immediate family and my husband. So here we are. I apologize for everybody that stopped in. I'm kind of glad that I waited to do that something happened and I had to wait to do this live, you guys, because some other stuff has happened with the Guthrie thing. You guys know that since we've talked about it last, there's been two two different notes that have come back into TMZ. And listen, you guys know how I feel about old Harvey Levin. Look, I'm not putting the man down. He's good at what he does. He's built an empire off of chasing down stars and people who are some kind of celebrity, right? He's built an empire, and good on him. But when he first came into the picture of this crime right here, you guys, I was taken back by the whole thing. I was just like, what the hell is going on? Nobody sends TMZ any ransom notes. Nobody cares, you know. So I've always said, I've been like, this bull crap. It's somebody who just wants clout. It's somebody who just wants to get involved to cause more chaos and a really crazy situation that's going on. But you guys, I don't know. Some things are changing for me with this. 70s is perfect weather for Jamie. Sunshine says, I had to turn the heater back on today. Wow. Wow. I'm sitting here just sweating my butt off. Not literally. What's that? I don't want to lose them on my butt, y'all. I've lost some weight. And I'm like, where the hell did my butt go, y'all? It's one of my greatest assets, you know. Hi, Shag. Good to see you, love bug. Glad you're here. I want to do a couple of reminders. I ended up finding a couple of things, guys, that I'd never seen before. I didn't know that Harvey Levin actually has like a podcast that's not TMZ. I don't know how it ended up on my TV, but somehow it ended up on my TV, and y'all was glued to it. I was glued because his guest on there was Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos drives me freaking insane. I'm just going to let you know. Ever since the O.J. Simpson thing, every time I see that man, I want to punch him in the face. Now, don't get me started on all that. But when I first saw him, I was like, I'm not watching this trash. Then I started listening, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. They got something here. So we're going to play some of that. And you two, don't come after me, okay? We're doing this for educational purposes only. And so I can make fun of people. That's what it's about. Killer, good to see you. I don't even know what that means, but it don't sound nice, but yeah, take that somewhere else. Jamie says, menopause made me gain weight too much. Oh, menopause, stress, not working, depression, just had all that going on. But I'm working through it, and God's helping me, and I'm grateful. All right, you guys, I wanted to show you guys something. I found this picture again. I don't know why, but I was looking through pictures of Nancy Guthrie. I just typed it into my little search engine. I was going through the pictures, and bada bing, bada bang, bada buko. I found this picture, and I want to show you guys it because for me, the picture brought to life how really fragile Nancy Guthrie was. I was like, whoa. We say 84-year-old woman. I got a 84, 83-year-old dad, y'all. And yeah, he gets off balance sometimes, but homeboy's out there doing his thing, y'all. You know what I mean? So, and then my father-in-law's fixing to be 80, and he's still a mechanic. He owns his own business still. So 80 kind of, to me, yes, it's old, but when I look at some of the people in my life that have reached that destination of 80 and over, I'm just like, damn, I wish I was like that. Let me show you guys this really quick. Welcome in, everybody. Do me a favor. Come on down here. Say hello to us. You don't have to ever agree with everything that I say or anything that I say. You're allowed to have your own opinion on here. And you're not going to get blasted for it. We're just going to remember that we have the right to have our own opinion. So we respect that here. Let me show you guys this real quick. I was blown away. Just really brought in how fragile this woman really was. Hi, Dawn. Good to see you, love bug. Hi, H. Homeby. Let's see. Sarah said on her live that you sent her daughter. Okay, don't know who you are either, but exit stage right. Hi, Rainy. Good to see you. All right, let me bring this up really quick, you guys. And we've all seen this picture many, many times. But today I really looked at it. Let me make sure that you guys can see it as big as I can get it. All right. So we've all seen this picture many, many times. Obviously, this is Savannah Guthrie with her mom, Nancy. And it looks like maybe it was on the set, actually, of the Today Show. So I was looking at it, and then something hit me like, bam, bam. And I'm going to show you real quick. Let me zoom in right here. I hope you guys can see that, but I want you to look at her whole hand, her whole arm, and the whole bruise across her arm right there. Now, we all know there's a couple things that struck me in this picture. Number one was the bruising on her arm and hand. And we all know that as we get older, our skin gets thinner and, you know, we bruise easier. Our skin, my mother-in-law's skin tears like she could walk into a door and she's got blood everywhere. So, you know, we understand that older people, they do get bruises like this, right? But obviously something had happened to her in recent times, either at a hospital where blood pressure was being taken or an IV, or she injured her, maybe she had a fall or something like that, because that bruise is still pretty fresh, if you will, pretty fresh. And it just made me realize, oh my God, even, you know, all the beautiful pictures. Let me back it out just a minute again. I mean, if you look at her face, you guys, to me, she doesn't even look like she's 84, which I don't know how she was in this one at all. I don't know when this picture was. But no matter what picture we see of her, she's still in this 84-year-old body that gets hurt very easily, and her skin obviously is very thin. So then it made me think about the blood, right? The blood that we see coming out of the front door. And a lot of us just contribute that to she either got bonked in the nose or in the mouth and it's just dripping or something. But having seen this and just realizing how fragile her body is, it could have come from a finger, right? I mean, it could have come from her arm or anything. I'm not kidding you. My mother-in-law backed into her door of her car, and she's bleeding everywhere and got a cut on her leg. And she's not even 80 yet. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe it didn't come. And if you ask me, a lot of people said that those blood drops came from higher up, like waist length or something. I always thought it came closer because I thought that the splatter, the farther it drops down to the ground, the farther it has to drop down, the more it would splatter, and that the blood drops were almost in pools. There wasn't much splatter at all. So maybe coming out of her house, maybe she hit her hand on a door. So that's neither here nor there. She's still missing, but it still is a different thing. And it kind of made me feel better that maybe they didn't hit her. You know what I mean? Because that breaks my heart to think that they would have hurt her, you know, like that. So maybe, but then there was this other thing, the Apple Watch. And I went through a bunch of pictures, and she is wearing it. And we know that this Apple Watch was left behind in her home. Now, what I heard recently as today. You guys might have heard it before. CBS reported, you guys. I've always said that the Apple Watch was, because this is what we were told. The Apple Watch was plugged in on the nightstand. But yet CBS is reporting that the Apple Watch was on the floor. That it was in the letter that said exactly what she was wearing. So I think it was the first letter that was sent to the news station. Remember, there were different things they didn't tell us about in the beginning, and because the ransom note came out, they had to tell us about what all was in the ransom. Well, they didn't have to, but they did. But we found out, that she went out in her night clothes, that she was taken from her bed, that her Apple Watch was left there, because all they had told us in the beginning was her purse, her keys, and her phone were sitting right there on the counter in the kitchen, right? And then we find out the Apple Watch was there, and it quit connecting to her pacemaker at 2:13 or something like that in the morning. So then, if it's on the floor, did she? And police can lie to us. We've all talked about that, right? They don't have to tell us the truth about jack shit, unless they're sitting in front of a judge sworn in, or unless they're signing on the dotted line. They could tell us all kind of lies to get the truth out of us, right? So by them saying that the Apple Watch was, let's just say it wasn't hooked up next to her bedside. Let's just say that it was found somewhere on the floor. Was there kind of a little fight that maybe she put up and it dropped there? Was she still wearing the Apple Watch when she went to bed and went to sleep, and then they realized we got to take that off because it has a tracker in it? They could, you can track somebody through their Apple Watch. Who knows? But it still brought up a lot of questions for me. But I really wanted to show you guys this picture because sometimes I think we just don't realize who we're looking for and how fragile they really are, and elderly they really are. And so I really wanted to show you guys that. Let me take that down, put myself back up there. Don't know how to, oh, there I am. Oh, thank you so much, Jamie. I'm not sure what you love about me, but I'm glad to be loved. Dawn says, I saw the video TMZ posted about the new demand letter. Very odd. Also, I did some Google search on AG, and explains her type of job, the writing poetry, etc., and it's weird. Well, I think her daughter Annie is really weird. I think we all saw her doing that for years ago. She was doing some kind of poetry, and we played it on the channel, and none of us even knew what the hell that they were talking about. Rain says circulation problems. Yes, exactly. Dawn says taking blood thinners will do that. Yes. Hi, Charlotte. Charlotte says they killed her. I believe you. Dawn says, I believe she passed away within hours that she was taken. Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. We're just going to keep going with this. I want to show you guys the Harvey Levin. Let's just start from the beginning of where TMZ comes out and reports on a new so-called ransom letter. Let's start from there. That happened 2 days ago. So let's bring that up, and then we'll come up to date. That just sounds better, and it's just, I think, easier to understand. All right, let me share this with y'all. Make sure it is as big as I can get it for you. All right, you guys, this is TMZ. Obviously, let me give them a like. Oh no, I already had my bells rung. I already gave them a like. Good on me. Yay. You're welcome. All right, guys. This was posted 3 days ago. All right. Let me make it bigger. Y'all watch your ears because I cannot control your volumes. This is where it started again with the whole ransom thing, right? Or the whole she's dead thing. No, the whole she's dead thing came from the second letter that was sent to the news station. 3 days ago, TMZ received another letter from another person who they believe is the same person that sent the letters to TMZ all along. Okay. Also, a couple people who analyze things like this, they believe that it's probably a woman that has been writing these letters. All right, let me go back over here. Y'all watch your ears, okay? Here we go.
Today is Friday, June 26th, and we have received another email from the man who says he knows who Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers are and can lead the FBI to those kidnappers for 1 Bitcoin. So the man writes that he has clearly been following things we've been saying, questioning the FBI telling us that the person who wrote this might be a female. The person does not say he's a male for sure, but he puts a big question mark there. And then also puts a question mark where we say we might be doing a documentary. So he says in this email that he is not, as he puts it, I am not the idiot who recently called in a tip about her burial site in Mexico. He goes on to say, only two are directly involved, and I doubt they would be the ones calling to snitch on themselves. So he has said to us before that there were multiple kidnappers and there was a main kidnapper, but definitely plural kidnappers. He has said that before. In this email, which by the way we have sent to the FBI, um, he says that he has video. He has video of Nancy Guthrie with the main kidnapper on what probably would be the last day of her life. That's the way he puts it here. He says, while what it contains is my definition of delivering it on a silver platter, a short video of the main guy with Nancy the day that was probably her last. He also says that he has names, addresses, phone numbers of the kidnappers. Now, he says he has that video in a phone, and the phone is turned off. It is in a secure, secret location, but a location easy to find if you know where to look. And that's what he says. He doesn't say a safe deposit box, but he says easy to find if you know where to look. And he says that if he gets a Bitcoin, he will deliver, as he puts it, on a silver platter, exactly how to get access to this phone, including the password. So he did not. This is clearly the guy who has been sending us these emails because he says that the Bitcoin address he gave us before is no longer working, and he actually wrote the Bitcoin address down, and it does match what we saw previously, and we've never reported that. He gives a new Bitcoin address, and and he says he wants a Bitcoin, and in return, he will basically deliver access to that phone, as he puts it, on a silver platter. So, look, we've sent it to the FBI, and this has become such a cat and mouse game. If this person is real, um, then go to wherever that phone is and get a screen grab of something proving that you're not a liar and somebody who is trying to inflict more pain on the Guthrie family. if you've got something, send it. I mean, you've been sending us more than a dozen emails. Send us something to show you're not a fraudster. We'll obviously send that on to the FBI. But if you have that information, I would assume, I don't know, but I would assume that they would play ball with you. But send us something, because there are a lot of fraudsters out there. And we have been open and we were allowed to say this. We know the FBI is still looking for you. And
I know that part's almost over, but I do want to say this because I'm so, first of all, Roller Skater Girl, it's so good to see you in chat. It's been a minute. I never thought about this, and I want to say what she said. On a silver platter is a known American phrase. Never thought about that. And that's what they wrote in that letter to TMZ. We will hand it over to you on a silver platter. And she also goes on to say that Mexicans don't say that. I wonder if you're in a different country than the US, if you can put in there in chat for me, if you guys use that, because she's right. We use that phrase like, I mean, that is a big time phrase for Americans, on a silver platter. So I want to know, if you're in a different country, do you guys use that phrase at all? Because Roller Girl, honey, you need to go ahead and just send that off to the FBI, because that's good stuff. I never thought about that at all. At all. That is awesome. I've noticed that some have been worded using the word snitch, and that's street slang as well. That's right. That's right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, not now, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go over this letter with a fine tooth. I never thought about like really watching the, I'm sure they've got analysis people that already do this, but I've never thought to do it, to tell you the truth. But like to look at the wording and what phrases and stuff they're using, because that would be a huge clue in all this. All right, this is almost over. Harvey's looking like shit lately, y'all. Harvey, stop that drinking. It's bad for you. You're looking terrible. You're looking terrible, buddy.
they believe you might be real, but they must have enough doubt that they haven't paid you the money. And it's clear you're frustrated, but the question is, are you a fraudster? And send us something. Send us a screen grab of something that would allow authorities to say, this guy's the real deal, and maybe they will deal with you.
All right, so that came out 3 days ago. We all knew about it. It was the talk of the town. Everybody was talking about it. And look, I know that most YouTubers who do this kind of stuff have already talked about it and stuff and all that. I'm not the type of girl that has to jump on and be the first person to break the news. I just don't. Now, let me tell you, I don't think I'm not watching like every second of every day if she's been found. Because if she's found, y'all know me. I will be on this thing like white on rice, y'all. We will be on here like shit on a biscuit. We're going for it. Not to be the first person to put it out there, but just because we've all just followed so closely, and I want to be with my friends and my community when that all breaks. You know what I mean? I like doing this stuff with you guys and actually watching for the first time things with you guys, because I like seeing your reaction if you haven't seen it, and I want you to hear mine. So I know that's been out, like I said, for 3 days now. You probably may have already had a whole discussion with another channel about it. All I can say to you about that is thank you so much for coming into mine and having a discussion with us as well. Come on down out of them bushes and let us know what you think. let's go to the very next day where this one was put up by, hold on. I'm sorry, this was just 12 hours ago. 12. So this is today. Well, yesterday now, because we're all past midnight. All right, but you know what I mean, right? So, all right, let me pull this one up. Harvey's looking like shit, y'all. I mean, he's still cut. He's still got muscles, but damn. Let's do some dyeing of that hair, Harvey. Let me help you get a woman. Sorry, guys. All right. He would say, Leanie, how about you get some teeth before you worry about me? That's what he would say to me, y'all. All right, let's do this. All right, y'all watch your ears again. I already gave him a like. Of course, this is from TMZ, you guys. 12 hours ago, they released this. Let's take a listen. Let's take a little listen.
TMZ Live. We have received another email
Say
from
it ain't
the
so.
man claiming that he knows who the kidnappers are in the Nancy Guthrie case, and he has given more detail than ever as to what information he will provide in return for 1 Bitcoin.
And he's provided the kind of information. He's basically described where this information can be found if he gets this Bitcoin. And we've said this before. Every time we get another one of these
From the same guy.
from the same guy, and we always can authenticate it's the same guy because he's using the Bitcoin address, the same Bitcoin address, which we've never ever published anywhere. So that's the only place.
It is the same guy. So look,
Yeah.
he says a bunch of things. We're going to give you the highlights. Number one, he says that I am not the idiot who recently called in a tip about her burial site in Mexico. Only 2 are directly involved, and I doubt they would be the ones calling to snitch on themselves.
So his point being, those 2 people who are involved, they're not going to put that tip there. They're the only ones who actually know where Nancy's body can be found.
So he's saying he is not the person who sent in that recent tip. However, I will tell you that several emails ago, he said that she was taken to Mexico. And he also said there were multiple kidnappers and a main kidnapper. Here, this is the first time he said the number 2.
Right.
So we now know there are 2 if he's to be believed at all. And believe me, we're going to get into that. So he says this. He says, I have a phone stashed in a secure location, guaranteeing both the information it stores and the safety of the phone.
I just got a weird feeling, you guys. I could be completely off base with this. We already know how corrupt Nanos is. I could do a 12-hour live on the corruption of Nanos. I could, literally. I could roast that man like he's never been roasted before and make really good sense of it. When he was just talking about how in the next letter that they received, it was talking about how there were 2 perpetrators. Well, a lot of us been saying that all along, that there's 2 to 3, and then there's other people in the background, right? But a lot of us have already been saying there's at least 2 there at the house, right? I don't know if anybody anymore believes that just one person acted alone in this. But I just got a bad feeling. What happens if this is a cop? I had a long talk with Maggie after our last live that we did on this last week. We had a long talk after it, and she was like, Leanie, she said, I'm telling you, I wanted to believe, that Nanos didn't have anything to do with this because I want to believe the good in people and stuff like that. She said, I got a bad feeling about Nanos. And so many of you have been saying that to me. Leanie, pay attention to what's going on. And it didn't hit me until last week when we did that live that Nanos gets fired from El Paso, Texas, right? For being a bad cop. And what does he do? He just moves on down the line down here on the same border, the Mexican border, right? He moves on down the line when he could have gone anywhere in the world. Second of all, how did his record not follow him unless somebody was covering up for him? Just a question. He's definitely not looking for a lady. Okay, Rain, I believe you. I can't believe they can't figure out who sent all these emails. Right, exactly. Exactly. And you know what? I got something in here, Rain. We're gonna talk about it. It's called and it's Harvey Levin again, but it's on his own podcast. And there is a part of it that I want to play. It was only 30 minutes long. We're going to speed it up so it doesn't take that long. But what him and Garagos talked about, I was like, oh my God, for the first time, Garagos is making sense to me. Couldn't believe it, y'all. I don't get Leanie's. Yeah, don't get Leanie, sir. Oh my God. Nanos and me just would not get along. I'd go to jail for punching him in the head. I Swanee, I'd give him a stroke. Shag says, yep, I have. I said he was involved. He screwed everything up purposely. Yeah, Shag has been saying it day one. I believe 75% sure they are closer to finding this person. Well, I want you to listen to, after we get done with this part, I'll speed it up a little bit. We'll go ahead and play the next one that just dropped between Harvey and Garagos. And you know, I don't like Garagos. I don't like him at all. I want to hit him too. But he's got more money than me. Had me put in jail. Anyways, and he's not worth going to jail over. I got a spider. Sorry, there was a spider. It's dead. Anyways, let's finish listening to this and then we'll pull up the Garagos one. Because y'all, it made a lot of sense to me.
What it contains is my definition of delivering on a silver platter. So he's saying he has a phone with information. He goes on to say that he says that there is, quote, a short video of the main guy with Nancy the day that was probably her last. And that's critical. I mean, he's now saying, I have a short video and it will show you not just Nancy, but her main kidnapper. And
that image is obviously priceless, especially to the FBI and especially to Savannah and her family.
Not priceless to him. He has a price, and the price is 1 Bitcoin. So he is saying that if he gets 1 Bitcoin, he will lead authorities to where this phone is. It is currently, he says, turned off, that it is in a secure location, but in a place that is easy to access once you know where to look. And he will supply the password, and he is asking for 1 Bitcoin.
Now, what's also interesting is that he clearly has been keeping up on the news, is responding because we talked about it this week. But he says that these kidnappers are onto him, that he has basically been on the run from them. And he's very much concerned for his own safety at this point.
So look, we have obviously forwarded this like we did the others to the FBI, and they have acknowledged receiving it, and they are looking into it. I spoke with somebody from the FBI a couple of days ago who said, and this really surprised me because they had gone radio silent on us about this guy for about a month, but they called me back a couple of days ago and said that they had a lead on who this person might be, and that they did not want us to do a documentary or anything like that, because we had even offered, look, maybe we'll pay the Bitcoin, do a documentary, see where it leads, and obviously work with you. They told us, stand down, we're working on that right now.
We're working on it, and that they felt that they were getting closer to this person.
So, look, it is really confusing, because on the one hand, they seem to have spent a lot of time trying to find this person. On the other hand, a Bitcoin is worth about $60,000.
I think less than that now, but yeah.
A little less.
Yeah.
And so why not roll the dice? And so we put a social media post out, because he seems to be watching all this stuff, and said, look, we don't know if you're a fraudster or not. Give us something, a screen grab of Nancy Guthrie.
And this is how you know that he is watching all of this, because within an hour of that post going up on social media, he sent another email explaining that he is not going to do that. And the reason he's not going to do that, send a screen grab or take any photo, said, I don't want to go to the phone. If I turn it on and I take a photo, or there's metadata that comes along with that photo. If I give you a screen grab of the image that's actually on the phone, there's metadata that's involved there. So anything that I send you like that can be traced.
So we don't know. I mean, look, we don't know. The thing is, we can't get in touch with this guy directly. His emails don't work. And I know that the FBI has tried as well. And as far as we know, they've not been able to crack that. So it would seem that if the FBI really wanted to pay that, the only way they can do it is if they called us and said, look, or
well, no, they could put. They have the Bitcoin.
They have
address.
the Bitcoin. Well, they have the Bitcoin because he gave us a new Bitcoin address, but we sent him the email with that.
Right. So they have it, and they could put the money in.
But then who's he going to contact?
What do you mean?
Who's he going to send the information to?
You can do the same thing. You can send an anonymous email
To?
Well, it would have to come. I mean, the FBI, does the FBI have an anonymous tip line?
I don't know.
They must. The FBI has an anonymous tip line.
So I don't know.
So you could send it either to the FBI or to us.
Yeah, I don't know where he would. And again, this is what's so puzzling, that the family was willing to pay $1 million, and you know the ransom demand was $4 and then $6 million. This is $60,000, and the fact that they're not paying really makes you question the authenticity of this guy.
Right.
On the other hand, why is the FBI spending so much time trying to figure out who this guy is? So honestly, we just don't know. We're telling you what we know, but we cannot close the loop on this thing.
Hi, Jordan from Kansas. You know, what stands out to me is Nancy Guthrie has been missing for over 4 months. And now this guy wants to come forward and say, hey, for 1 Bitcoin, I can get you to that phone. I have video evidence of it. It just sounds like a cat and mouse game, and it sounds like he's a fraudster.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe that's what the FBI is thinking also. Maybe, but
then why are they trying to find him so much?
Right.
And why are they telling us, no, don't do that. We're in the middle of it. So that's what's so confusing.
All right. Fair to say that we are definitely out of our milieu here.
Milieu.
They borrow the French phrase. But we're going to talk fashion. Taylor Swift fashion.
I'm right.
Y'all, I absolutely will not be talking Taylor Swift fashion. It won't happen here. Promise. I'm not a Swiftie. And that, I don't care. This is how old I am. I don't give a damn to try to learn any other song that comes out. I like my music, my 70s, my 80s music, and even further behind. Sometimes I get nostalgic. I don't listen to all that other trash that gets on the radio. So I don't give a flying two hoots about that. All right, some of you guys are talking about this in chat. You know, this Purple Perps has been watching all of the social media since the get-go. Now they're like, oh crap, we screwed up. I was wondering about that when I was watching Maureen O'Donnell today. As much information as and you know, I mean, you know, we appreciate it, right? We appreciate getting information from, you know, people who do this in real life and trying to help us understand their way of thinking and what they might be doing and this and that and the other. But at the same time that they're educating us, y'all, they're also educating the perpetrator, and that's a scary thought. All right, let's see. Roller Girl says, it's the wording and the excuses. He is an American and a male, I believe, in my humble opinion. Dawn says, I wish they'd send it and see what happens. Me too. And Rain says, I'm stuck in the 80s. Yes, honey. The bigger the hair, the closer to Jesus. That's what I always say. All right, y'all, let me bring this up. Harvey Levin, let me tell you something about yourself, Big Daddy. Listen up and listen good with both ears. Do not come after me. And YouTube, don't come after me, okay? We're just trying to learn right along with anybody else. We ain't monetizing none of this. We're not making any money, unlike you, TMZ, off of someone else's tragedy. We're just hanging out here and talking about what we think is going on and where the hell Nancy is. All right. So do not come for me. All right. I got nothing to give you. I'm a poor girl. Well, I'm not poor, but I'm not rich. Anyways, anyhow, we're going to watch this because I dug it. I dug it. And before I play it, not that one, that one. Before I play it, let me go ahead and give my disclaimer, you guys. I don't think any of the mods that are in chat were just really weird, but that's okay. Life goes on, y'all. People have lives, and this is just YouTube's. All right, let's see. Fair use disclaimer, Copyright Act of 1976 gives allowance for this content to be used for purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And listen, I'm all about criticizing, commenting, news reporting, teaching. Some things I should not teach, though. I have no one to give any money to as far as scholarship goes, but I love me some research too. YouTube, we have that scrolling across the bottom, and I promise when a mod gets here, they will drop that in chat that quick. All right, y'all. I've never played this channel before on my channel, so I don't know if old Harvey here is going to strike me. But if you do, listen, I'm coming for you, Big Daddy. I'm gonna tell you right now. You and Garagos, you'll go down. I will double up on my medicine, and we will toe to toe, both one at a time, please, because I have a hurt back. All right, let's get this as big as what I can. Y'all watch your ears. Let's go. Oh, I want to play let me see what speed we got it on. Listen, these guys don't mix any punches in this, and I appreciate it. I really do. All right, here we go. Some of this will answer some of the questions and some of the thoughts you guys have in chat, so check it out.
I have a theory. I think when they kidnapped Nancy Guthrie, it was all about money. And then she dies and they freak out because they've committed murder. You kidnap somebody and they die as a result of the anguish and the fright. It's felony murder. Mark, we have received 2 emails today, Friday, when we're doing this, from a man who claims he knows where Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers are, who they are, and will lead authorities to them for the price of 1 Bitcoin. And I am going to lay out everything we know, the communications with the FBI, and I want to hear from you and everybody watching and listening. Is this guy a fraudster or the real deal? So let me tell you what we got today, early this morning. So this guy, he starts out by saying, I am not the idiot who recently called in a tip about her burial site in Mexico. Now, there were reports recently that somebody had said that they knew where she was in Mexico. He's saying, I'm not that guy. Although he did tell us earlier when she was supposedly still alive that they had taken her to Mexico. But here's where it gets...
Wait, so that people understand, is this somebody who had previously sent a note which you turned over to the FBI?
We've turned all the notes over to the FBI.
And is this one that the FBI gave some credence to? Not this particular one, but an earlier one?
Well, he's referring to somebody who made a statement that her body was buried in Mexico. I have no idea whether the FBI took it seriously. He's saying, it's not me. But this is what's interesting. He says only 2 are directly involved, and I doubt they would be the ones to call in and snitch on themselves. So I think that's really interesting because he has told us before, if you believe him, that there are multiple kidnappers, but a main guy. This is the first time he's given us a number where he says 2. So he says there are 2 kidnappers. And he's basically saying it wasn't me that made that comment that circulated recently about Mexico. And it certainly wasn't them, because why would they snitch on themselves? So that's kind of interesting.
When did this guy or this person first email or send you a note?
Days after we received the first ransom note.
Okay,
Days.
so this is somebody who's been sending to you all along?
And at the beginning, almost every day. We've received at least a dozen of these from the same guy.
And you and I have talked about this before. You can do a pretty good triage on whether somebody is 5150 just on the basis of the notes they send
He's
you?
not
how
51.
frequent-
He's not 5150. He's
Okay.
either legit or a sophisticated fraudster. He's
Got
one
it.
of the two. He's either legit or really sharp and knows how to defraud people. But there is nothing in these notes that make him seem off kilter in terms of his.
Well,
know-
and you've got more experience than most. In fact, 98% of the population of being able to detect who's
Yeah.
off kilter, to use your term.
So then this is where it gets really interesting. He says, I have a phone stashed in a secure location, guaranteeing both the information it stores and the safety of the phone. What it contains is my definition of delivering this on a silver platter. A short video of the main guy with Nancy the day that was probably her last. And then he says, in addition to that, the phone has the names and addresses of the kidnappers. So he is saying he has a video of Nancy because he had said earlier that he had seen Nancy with the kidnappers. That if you believe him, he has some close connection to the kidnappers. That's what he says. But he says he is not involved in the kidnapping and has repeated that over and over and over.
So without being cynical, the fact that he only wants one Bitcoin seems odd to me, number one. Number two, since this has started, Bitcoin has not exactly
Right.
skyrocketed in value.
It's about $60,000 now, a little less.
Yeah. And so has he changed the amount he's asked for over time?
Well, in a way, yes, because initially he had asked for what amounted to 100,000 in Bitcoin, and now he's asking for one, which is, like I said, just under $60,000. I agree with you. I mean, it's like if this guy is really now he says the reason he wants the money is because he has to go underground, and he gets more detailed here, but he's saying that he is basically on the run because these kidnappers appear to know that he has all this information, and he's scared of them. And he has to go underground. And he goes on in this letter, in this email, to say that he can see if the money is put into the Bitcoin address that he gives, but he will not access it until after the kidnappers are caught, because he doesn't want to access it and then have it traced to him if the kidnappers are still on the loose. So he's.
And I would assume that you, as a subsidiary of Fox, cannot pay for this information.
Well, I'll tell you. I called the FBI about a month ago,
Okay.
and I said, look, I may be really naive here, and I don't know, but I keep asking you guys, is this guy a kook? Is he a fraudster? And you tell me you don't know, but you also say you're really trying to track him down. And, it's like you're not dismissing it. And I just got this feeling it might be true. So what if we do a documentary and we actually pay the Bitcoin into the account to trigger this and follow where it leads us? And obviously we'll work with you. So this was about a month ago. And the first reaction I got was, well, that's kind of interesting. Let us run it up the flagpole. And I called them back a couple of days later, and they said, we're still talking about it. And then I kind of got ghosted for almost a month. And I called back a half dozen times, and they never returned my call. And I just figured, okay.
When you say they didn't
FBI.
return the call, the FBI. So have you responded? Is this an interactive relationship, or are you not able to respond to what he said?
I can't respond, but we respond in a different sort of way, and I'll tell you in a minute. But let me just say,
Okay.
a couple of days ago, the FBI did call me, and they said, well, look, they knew about what I had requested, and they said, look, we feel we're closer to finding this person. And they said this person might actually be a woman. And that's all they said. They didn't say why they thought that. But
that's interesting they said that, because if I was going to ask you if there was any indicia that this was a female.
he's using he uses a man's name.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
No, I know.
Right.
But then they said on the documentary thing to stand down, that they were working on it. And I said, fine. And so because there were these stories that had come out this week that, the second ransom note said that Nancy had died, it seems like that's what triggered this guy into sending
so that
this.
we understand, this person did not tell you that Nancy is dead?
Well, he is essentially, he told us
He or
that.
she,
I'm going to call him he just because that's what we've.
That's the name.
He told us this early on. At one point, he said, essentially, time is of the essence. And then in a follow-up email said, time is no longer of the essence. And
how early or how long after
a week.
disappearance?
A week.
Okay.
And so yeah, I mean, he is essentially told us over time that she was dead. And again, we've been sending all of these to the FBI, and they have spent a lot of time with my IT team, a lot of time, and multiple FBI agents who have been trying to crack the code of both this guy's email and the first kidnapping note. They've spent a lot of time with our team. As far as I know, they were not able to crack it. I know that until a month ago, they certainly were not able to crack it. I don't know what they've done with this guy.
Is this guy the one that, remember when Savannah did that really tugs at your heartstrings, emotion laden,
Right?
Please bring us back. And there was two interpretations. One was she wanted the remains. The other, are people who wanted to be positive or think positively were interpreting it differently. Is this guy the one that you believe was saying that she's already gone?
No, the reason that Savannah, that's a really important point. There was the first ransom note said she was safe but scared. We received that, as did two Tucson television stations. The second note was only sent to one of the Tucson television stations. And what came out this week is in that second note, which was sent 5 or 6 days after the kidnapping, it said she was dead. And they were basically saying, we didn't do it, she died. And it was that second ransom note from the kidnappers. We know both notes were written by the same people because it was the same, it had the same Bitcoin address for the ransom. So it was that second note that said she was dead. And yes, that weekend, I believe it was Saturday night, is when Savannah came out with that really heart-wrenching statement where she said, bring us back, bring us to our mother so we can bring her home and celebrate. That felt to me back then like they knew she had died. When you say bring her back so we can celebrate.
The Bitcoin address given by notes 1 and number 2 only going to one station, is a different Bitcoin address than the Bitcoin address in this note that we're talking about today.
Yeah, and the reason we know that this note today is the same as, is written by the same person, is that the last one we received before this one, the last one we received said, I'm not going to get in touch with you anymore. I'm going to deactivate the Bitcoin account. And we never published the Bitcoin address. So in this note, he says, I have a new Bitcoin address that you can send this money to. And then he references the old one just to show it's the same guy. And we never published that Bitcoin address, and it is the exact same one.
Have you published any of these notes?
We haven't published the notes in full. We've quoted from them.
Have you even shown anything indicia of it?
No, we've never shown any of the notes, but we've.
Well, shouldn't we show a little bit of this?
Well, I mean, I've read a lot of this to you, and when he says, look, if you send me the Bitcoin, that I will let you know where this phone is, and it's in a safe location that's easily accessible if you are guided to it. To me, that feels like a safe deposit box. And he says that the phone is turned off, but I will lead you to that safe deposit box and give you the password so you can access the phone. So that's what he says. Now,
so if this guy is not, or woman is not, a fraudster, I think I said this to you once before, and I would hopefully they're listening or hear it. Why don't they just go to a lawyer and have the lawyer work on a contingency to broker the information, which then keeps the anonymity of the client and allows the information to get wherever. You don't even have to rely on a Bitcoin. A lawyer can keep the money in a trust account pending the confirmation of the information or the phone or whatever else it is. I don't know why they make it so cloak and dagger when there seems to be a rather simple way to navigate this.
That's actually a really interesting idea. And he certainly hasn't raised it. And one of the reasons he might not want to do that is if he's a fraudster.
Right. And so that's what tends to lead me to believe that the person is a fraudster, because otherwise, go to a lawyer who's got attorney-client privilege with you, who has a trust account that you can receive whatever funds and not have to disclose, meaning not have to disclose to the general public, so to speak, and then let the lawyer broker this deal so that you can then take that information and if you have some interest in getting this solved, that's the way to solve it.
Okay, I will double down with you on that and say there is more evidence he's a fraudster. And then after I tell you what that evidence is, then I'll tell you why he might not be a fraudster. So,
Oh my goodness.
as-
Okay, I'm going to get my
No.
I'm going to get my fraudster whiplash. going.
you are going to
What's
get
the-
you are going to get
what's-
fraudster whiplash.
Let's first go towards doubling down on fraud.
Okay, let's do that. So you had asked me earlier, is this one-way communication or are we able to communicate with him? We cannot send him emails or anything like that. That is a one-way street. That we don't have any ability to do that. Never have. However, we have a website and we have television shows and we have social media. And on all of those, we have said things really directly to him. And I said something to him early today after getting this email. And I said, look, you could be an absolute scammer and there's a reason the FBI and the Guthrie family hasn't paid you. So it's got to give them pause that whether you're the real deal or not. So what about this? Send us, and this is the way we've communicated with him. I put this on social media and on the website today. And I said, send us a screen grab from the video of Nancy Guthrie, something, just a screen grab that shows you're the real deal. And we will immediately forward it to the FBI. And I would assume if they think it's real, they're going to pay the money. So a couple hours after we posted that, he sent another email saying, I'm not going to do that because the metadata will lead them directly to me, and I'm not going to take that chance. So that made me think, this guy's full of it.
Right, because, and once again, you could show it to a lawyer confidentially. The lawyer can take a look. The lawyer does not have to access the metadata, but the lawyer can then do a reverse proffer to the FBI or the authorities. The lawyer could also, if you're worried about being apprehended or if you're worried about your liability, so to speak, then they can do, if it turns out to be true and you're not a fraudster, they can work out some kind of an arrangement for you.
That's right. Okay, so that's
Now,
my doubling
what leads
down.
you?
I know.
What leads you to the other? Where's the whiplash on the other end?
So I send these 2 emails today to the FBI, and they are saying we're on it. We're on it.
Well,
You know, it's like stop sending us these stupid emails. And I'm not getting that. And so I'm just really confused. Why are they spending time on this guy if they don't believe that he might be legit? But on the other hand, if they think he even might be legit, why not roll the dice on 60 grand, which in the greater scheme of things, you know, it's not going to break the bank. But if they're spending this much time trying to figure out who he is, then roll the dice on this thing. Because the guy, there was a point, Mark, where, I don't know, a month in, I did a social media post, again, the only way we could contact this guy. And I just said, look, the FBI literally asked me to do this social post and say to you that if this is a scam, they will find you, they will charge you, they will prosecute you, and they will send you to prison. And they had actually asked me to say that, and I did. And he sent me an email back saying, I am well aware that anybody who pulls a scam like this can be prosecuted and sent to prison. I am not doing that. So look, I don't know, but I mean, if 0 to 100, 100 is he's telling the truth and 0 is no credibility. Where are you on the spectrum?
Right now, until you give me some other piece of information that I didn't have 8 minutes ago, I'm giving it about a 65%, a 65 out of 100.
Is that worth rolling? Is that worth rolling the dice?
Yeah, I think that is worth rolling the dice.
So you would roll the dice.
If I'm you and I've got a website like you've got, I would roll the dice.
Well, we will not do anything like that unless the FBI said, go ahead. Because I figured if they weren't, what skin is it off their teeth if we do this documentary and do it? But for whatever reason, they said, no, stand down. Why are they saying that?
How long ago did they tell you to stand down?
This week.
Okay, so.
Well, they had, when I first called them about the idea, they said, don't do anything yet. Let us run it up the flagpole.
Right, then you did the follow-up. Right. Have you asked them since this last one?
Yeah, when I was on the phone with them this week, and I mentioned it again, they said, no, stand down.
Okay, well, then that would lead me to believe that my 65 is a very confident 65, because that would lead me to believe that they think they've got something. If they thought this was a complete dead end, they wouldn't have told you to stand down.
Yeah, and we have never spoken with the Guthrie family on this. So, I mean, and you know,
this has got to be the most unbelievably heart-wrenching. It's the perfect word for it. Can you imagine your mom is gone, you don't know what's happened, and you've got every grifter in the world, and you've got it's just, I don't even know how to, it's inexplicable.
Well, and it's not just that. It's like with Savannah, she's got a job that requires her, to at times be joyful and at times, just be inquisitive and to have all sorts of emotions, depending on what she's doing, during each, multi-hour day of the Today Show. And what's underlying all of it is this pain that sometimes just seeps out, which it did this week, where she just broke down. And when she breaks down in the middle of it, you think, my God, this woman literally has to act every day. And it is true acting, to be able. And it always just doesn't stay down.
Yeah, it's heart wrenching. That's why I said, if I, where are you? You asked me. I'm at a solid 65.
I'm around there too. But to me, a 65 is roll the dice.
Right, I agree. Anything more than 50 is roll the dice.
So, I got a theory about this.
Wait, do I have all the information at this point that you have?
Most, I suppose, but
things they asked you not to say would seem to support the idea that this person is legit, correct?
I can't say that. I can't say one way or the other. It's more about the kidnappers than it is about him.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me, or can you hear them?
Because they've committed murder. It's felony murder. You kidnap somebody and they die as a result of the, the anguish and the fright and the fact that she didn't have her meds and everything.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to stop them from talking because I'm going to talk to you guys about something real quick. But for some odd reason, it doesn't want to.
Like they just didn't want anything to do with it, including they didn't want to say where her body was because they thought it would lead the FBI to them and they'd be prosecuted for murder.
Okay, so I'm going to push on this theory a little bit. Do you think this is one of what we have heard about, these cross-border kidnappings? That it seemed to be in a wealthy enclave. What's your theory there?
I think these kidnappers are based in the Tucson area, specifically the Tucson television market. They were contacting 2 local stations in Tucson. They didn't contact NBC News, which is where Savannah works. They contacted 2 local stations. I think these kidnappers either knew Nancy Guthrie, who would rightfully brag that her daughter is the anchor of the Today Show, Savannah, or they had heard it in town. Because in a way, Nancy Guthrie is a celebrity because her daughter is somebody that people in that market watch every single day. And so they knew Savannah Guthrie was Nancy's daughter. And they assume, probably correctly, that not only is she famous, but rich. And they saw a payday, which to me bolsters the theory that this was, give us the money, we'll give her back to you, and we'll be set for the rest of our lives. And all of a sudden, she dies, and now they're murderers, and they just go radio silent.
And was one of the stations in Tucson that received the initial notes, one of those 2 an NBC affiliate?
I don't remember whether it's NBC or not.
I thought one was a CBS. I just don't
It's KOLD and K-Gun, and I don't remember, but those are the 2.
I think, okay, so then if that is the case, if this was a money grab and they knew who she was, I'm at a 65% on that theory as well, frankly.
I'm higher than 65 on that.
On that theory?
I'm higher than
you think they knew who she was, Nancy Guthrie? You think when they took her that they specifically knew she was Savannah's mother?
I'm 95% on that.
Okay. And by the way, for those who think this is ghoulish, and it is, but this is if you don't think the FBI has gone through this every which way as a Rubik's Cube or mental gymnastics, you're naive, because this is precisely what the investigative techniques are in terms of trying to figure out or profiling who it is or what it is.
And, and Mark, and I think that second ransom note, and again, we haven't seen it, but we now know the reporting on it. Where and we do know this because one of the people from KOLD, the station that got that second note, had said publicly, not a lot publicly, but said that there was not a specific ransom demand in that second note. That's really interesting because in the first note, it is very specific, that the note we got, that $4 million until Friday. And if you don't pay us by Friday, it goes to $6 million. And if you don't pay it by Monday, we will kill her. So they're very specific and very money oriented in this letter.
And then they specifically say dollars as opposed to Bitcoin?
It was dollars. It was dollars.
And it was round number 4 and then round number 6?
Correct. And in the second one, according to a reporter from KOLD, there was no mention of a ransom amount. So again, I think that when they sent the second, it was to say, hey, we're really sorry she died, but we didn't do it. She just died. And they went silent. So I think at that point, they could have said, if they wanted to, we'll lead you to her body if you give us X. They didn't do that. And that's why I think they just freaked out. And that So
between, you got note number 1, which was contemporaneous with the 2 to the local station, correct?
Right.
Okay. Then note number 2, which you believe she had already passed away, because they didn't make a number. You didn't get a note for note number 2.
Correct.
And this person who sent you up to a dozen communications doesn't surface until after note number 2?
No, surfaced after note number 1.
After note number 1.
But before number 2.
And when they surfaced, did this person believe or indicate that she was still alive?
Initially, yes, and at a point early on said no. What they said was essentially time was of the essence at the beginning, and then and a subsequent note said time is no longer of the essence.
Have you done a timeline of this? So note number 1, obviously they're asking for money. Presumably she's alive. Note number 2, by the people where you didn't get it, they believe if it's legit,
it's like a matter of 4 or 5 days, Mark, between 1 and 2.
And so it would appear because that this person has some connection to whoever's sending notes number 1 and notes number 2, would it not? Because of that interconnection, because they knew at a certain point that something untoward had happened to her.
I'm sorry, you're saying there's a connection between note 1 and note 2?
No, I'm saying that this is not the person who sent the first note or the second note.
The guy that's sending to us is somehow connected. He says he's connected. He says he's connected.
I know he says it, but I'm just trying to see if there is a way to correlate the data.
It roughly fits on the timeline. There's a bit of a delay from the time the kidnappers told KOLD Nancy was dead and the time he told us that, but not by much.
If I'm analyzing it, when they're telling KOLD that Nancy is dead, that was not publicly known in real time. People were just speculating back and forth because of
that wasn't known until this week.
Correct. So what I'm saying is the person you're now communicating with and have for a dozen times
seem to know around the same time.
Yeah, around the same time. So that would tend to say if this person is a fraudster, those two are probably fraudsters. But if this person is legit, that gives some legitimacy to the person, to the group or whoever it was that was sending notes 1 and 2 to you and KOLD.
Yeah. Now I will end with this, that I know the FBI believes that the person who sent or people who sent ransom notes 1 and 2 are one and the same, and they are the kidnappers. They absolutely believe they're the kidnappers.
If that's the case, then we'll end with this. I'm raising it from 65 to 80%. My confidence.
And then you just got to figure out, why haven't they paid? And I'm stuck.
Well,
All right, can you guys hear me now? I think you can, because I see my little thing. For whatever reason, it wasn't, when I opened tabs, it's all across the top. Well, that tab disappeared. I couldn't find it to stop it so we could talk about it, but I'm glad it's over. So we can talk about it now. I don't even know where to begin. There was to me, there was so much information given out in just from Harvey Levin in this discussion he had with Mark Garagos, who is a lawyer, well-known lawyer out there in LA. I got a question, just like Harvey does. Why wouldn't, I mean, he's not asking the FBI to pay. He's not asking the Guthrie. He's saying, look, we'll put up the 60K and let's just see where it takes us. Let's just see what it does. Hi, RC. Good to see you, Love Bug. Thank you for being here. And the FBI tells them to stand down. I have two different theories on that. A, that they know a lot more than what he knows, right? Which we would hope they would. And every case we've ever followed, they have known way more than what we knew. And here I'm giving up hope on them, and then they come out and lay it before me, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I did it every case. I'm like, I'm sorry, I thought you were dumbasses. You're not dumbasses. You did your job. Thank you very much. And then number two is, so they either, they're already on the trail, but they've got to get, like I've always said, it's one thing to have someone arrested. It's a whole nother ball game to have them indicted and found guilty for this crime, right? We've seen a lot of people that have been guilty walk because the evidence just wasn't there. So they have to be careful with that. So does the FBI, are they already on the trail of whoever's done this? And so they don't want Harvey and his company to waste the money or keep engaging with someone who they think is a fraudster? Or are they not wanting him to give the money and to stand down because they know that whoever he's talking to actually knows what he's talking about? I mean, I guess it's just something we're never going to learn. And our very own retired FBI agent of 20 years, JB Badass herself, wanted to let you guys know, give you an update on her. She is at home resting from her surgery, and so we want to give a shout out to JB. Hopefully she's going to get better very soon, be out of all this pain that she's been in, and that the surgery was a success for her. She has some major surgery done on her neck and her spine, you guys. It was very scary there for a while for her. But anyways, if she was here, I would really like her take on what she thinks they're thinking, more of. And the problem is, it is so wishy-washy and up and down and in and out and a cat and mouse that we could almost let any scenario, right? We could make sense. We really could. Any of it. I mean, I could sit here and make sense of both scenarios. You know what I mean? It's like, what Rain said, why would you take the chance of being a fraudster and just only asking for 60K when you know that if they catch your ass, you're spending the rest of your life in jail and the money's gone. I don't know, you guys. I feel like it's so screwed up that any of these scenarios could make sense. Why did my message get taken down? I didn't see any messages at all taken down, honey. I see Harvey is saying he'll pay. And then you say, why did my message get taken down? Was it up here? The last letter before this one sounded like a woman. Those are the only three that I see on here right now without scrolling. Yeah, we want JB to get well very soon. I hope she did. I hope she does. She's just the sweetest lady, and you know, it's just a shame that she gave so much of her life to law enforcement the way that she did, and you know, for her body to be racked by pain. Um, it's very, very sad. It's very sad what, you know, even our military men and stuff like that puts their bodies through. You know what I mean? It's just sad. But I'm just kind of blown away by the whole thing. Some things it's so easy for some things we could say, no, we're taking that one completely out of the puzzle. It doesn't fit. No, you couldn't even use a hammer to make that piece fit in our puzzle. You know what I mean? Like, that's just completely ridiculous. Just take that out. But then there's some things that you could rationalize and think, well, holy hell. I mean, that could be real. It could be the thing. All right. So you guys, you know, we can't get away from this at all. I have to play my boo thing, y'all. Y'all know who my boo thing is. You know. I have to play me some Nancy Grace. I have to. And this will be the last thing that I show tonight on this. But y'all know I gotta get in there and get some Nancy out of this. Sometimes I gotta get Mr. Pretty Eyes into it too, but I already watched him and, you know, did my whole thing with Mr. Pretty Eyes. Like, good job, dude. I'm so proud of you. In case you don't know who Mr. Pretty Eyes is around here, that's Brian Enton. He walks though like he's got to pee. I'm not kidding you. Watch Brian Enton walk, y'all. He's doing the pee walk at all times. That's a whole story for a different day though. But we have to check in with my boo thing. So let's bring her up. And if she's not your jam, I understand it. Nancy Grace, I couldn't stand her back in the day, y'all. Couldn't stand. The older I get, I'm like, girlfriend, I completely understand your attitude problem. Completely. I think she's smart as shit too. And I love when she says bombshell. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, let's go ahead and bring her up and see what old Nancy has to say about these letters. And then we will probably end this here. Uh-oh, why didn't I hear her? Because I didn't have it turned on. Okay, there.
The hidden meaning on that chilling ransom note.
Hold on, I gotta stop it. Look what she does with her eyes. Her eyes remind me of, what was Bewitched's mom's name? Do you guys remember Bewitched's mom's name? What was her name? Her real name was Agatha, I mean. But what, Endora. Doesn't her eyes remind you of Endora? Like she's just gonna kill you with her eyes. Yeah, I dig it. She's a badass.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
You're welcome. You're welcome, honey. Anytime.
The ransom notes, Nancy, that came in. The good, the bad, the ugly.
And the very, very serious regrets from within the investigation.
The good notes are the two notes that came in early on in the case. The investigators believe IP addresses, crypto wallets that made sense.
Somebody knows something. And this is a new story today that is on your radar, but this is the life that my sister lives, that I live, that my brother lives, that our extended families live, that our children live every day. And we are in agony. And we cannot be at peace. We need your help. We're begging for your help. And I'm not going to miss that opportunity. And so please, if you're watching,
yes,
no matter how small, the reward is there. You can tell us. It can be anonymous. Please do the right thing for us, for our family, for our children. And we love our mom and we'll never stop looking for her. Never.
Our friend, Savannah Guthrie, speaking out. That is from our friends at NBC. So how long has Savannah suspected that her mother is actually dead? How long? This while her family, Savannah, her sister, Annie, brother, Cameron, all being tortured personally, keeping it to themselves, while so many in the public are blaming them for their mother's disappearance. Has the truth been right before us the entire time? I want you to look at Savannah's missive weeks ago.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
In those few seconds, if you are astutely interpreting it, we learn so much. We've got an all-star panel to get to, but first, I want to go to Tony Bruschi joining us, podcast star of Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Mr. Bruschi, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me,
Many
Nancy.
of us wanted to believe so fiercely that there was a chance to bring Mrs. Guthrie home alive. But now, if you look and listen to what she is saying, her own words say it all. This is valuable to us. This. Is she referring to her mother's body without saying it overtly? We want to bring her home to celebrate. At the time, we all thought that echoed the theme of a celebration of life, which is in effect a funeral. We understand that she is dead. We will pay for her body. She ends by saying it's never too late to do the right thing. It's never too late. In other words, we know our mom has perished, but it's not too late to do the right thing. What about it, Tony?
I think context is key to this. And now that we have some context here with that second letter that Savannah has been aware of all of this time and her family has been processing for the last 5 months, that reaction that we saw all those months ago makes a lot more sense. We've all been speculating the verbiage that she was using because it seemed as though she was in fact talking about her deceased mother at the time, but we didn't have any confirmation, and nor do we completely as of this moment. But the context makes sense that this was a message they believed came from the source of who took their mother. And an odd one at that. If you look at history, there hasn't been notes like this, where someone has kidnapped someone and then sent the apology letter. It's rare to completely unheard of. So it's hard to number one, but as the FBI appears to be continuing to put these pieces together and these dots together, the fact that the legitimacy of this seems to come together in a way that was unexpected really does tell us something new in this case, that maybe this went horribly wrong. And in my take on this is, I don't think Nancy was ever really the target to begin with. And that's what led to this very bizarre apology in a case like this.
Now, that brings up a whole hornet's nest and a Pandora's box, because there's been a lot of back and forth in the last 36 hours. Did they apologize? Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Well, I can read you verbatim what the Arizona Families Network, including 3 TV and CBS 5 and KOLD, state, and they give a quote. She perished shortly after she was taken. She is buried in nature now. We are truly sorry. We never intended to hurt her. But listen to Harvey Levin.
I want to talk about Nancy Guthrie and some communications I've had with the FBI that I haven't talked about until now. But I want to start with these reports that this ransom letter that we received kind of apologizes to Savannah Guthrie and her family for the kidnapping, and that that Nancy was no longer alive. That was not in the ransom note that we received. It is not in that ransom note at all. It does say that she's scared, but okay. But the ransom note makes no reference to Nancy Guthrie either dying or the kidnappers apologizing.
Okay, so you've got Harvey Levin stating, and I have no reason to disbelieve Harvey. Harvey Levin, our friend at TMZ, I thoroughly believe his ransom letter, which was deemed at the time to be potentially credible, did not mention that Miss Guthrie is no longer alive or there was their apologies. But we have other notes, specifically the one to KOLD. There's more from Harvey.
There is a reference to Nancy Guthrie not being alive anymore, but that is from the person who sent us multiple emails saying that he knows or knew where Nancy Guthrie was and where the kidnappers were, and he wanted money in return for information. We passed that along to the FBI as we did the ransom note, but this person kept sending us emails. And early on, he said, time is of the essence. And then a few days after the kidnapping, he said, time is no longer of the essence, meaning she wasn't alive.
That's Harvey Levin over at TMZ. So to you, Sydney Silvani joining us, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Sydney, there are a slew of notes coming from different sources because Harvey is saying, I believe truthfully, there was no apology, and in neither of the two potentially credible ransom notes did they say Mrs. Guthrie had passed on. But then there are the other emails from a potential witness that says, I know where she is. Time is of the essence. I need money. I'm not coming forward because I've got a burglary conviction from 11 years ago. I will be putting myself in danger. Give me a Bitcoin. There's that. Then there is she perished shortly after she was taken, which seems to fit in, and Eric Dickerson can tell us more about this, with the fact that there was no proof of life offered, and then everything went dead. So Sydney Silvani, what is floating around out there? You've got Harvey's missives, you've got KOLD, you've got K-Guns. What is out there? What are we talking about?
Right. Yeah, there definitely are several different lines of people trying to profit off of this situation. We don't know if any of them are legitimate. So it seems like TMZ got the same first letter that went out to KOLD. And then they also have this second source coming to them, sending dozens of emails, and they claim to not be responsible, but to know who is. So you have those two sources at TMZ, and then you have the same source that reached out to KOLD, but then that same source is apparently responsible for the second note, which claims that Miss Guthrie passed away shortly after her kidnapping. So there are definitely several sources floating around right now.
The FBI took it seriously. They felt, at least in my communications with them, and I had numerous communications, they felt that this person might indeed know. For some reason, they never paid or never asked the Guthrie family to pay that person for information leading to the identity of the kidnappers and Nancy Guthrie's remains. I was always confused about that because I'm a skeptical guy, but there's something about those emails that made me believe that this guy may well have known who the kidnappers were. And the reason I say that is that initially he said, in the first letter, he said, time is of the essence, meaning you better hurry up. I can tell you where she is. But then the next day he wrote, time is no longer of the essence.
Straight out to special guest joining us, by the way, that's Harvey Levin over at TMZ. Eric Dickerson, former FBI special agent, 20 years, who specializes in international kidnappings. Supervised the FBI Mexico-U.S. border liaison. and the Cross Border Violence Task Force. Currently CEO, EAD Global, providing security services and mitigating global risk for companies. Also, and I find this very significant, former attaché for Mexico City office at the U.S. Embassy. Eric, thank you for being with us tonight. Right now, we know that the only people searching for Nancy in the Mexican area is the Buscando Corazones Nogales. That's a group of ladies with nothing but T-shirts and sticks. Why?
Yeah, it's not uncommon for volunteer organizations to want to come forward and assist in cases like this. Through my conversations with Mexican authorities, they're also following up on leads as those leads come in. So we do also have the attention of the Mexican government following up on relevant and credible leads. As you know, some of the information that they've received has been sparse or hasn't been detailed enough to follow up on those investigations. The information they have received has been investigated, and as you know, to date, there's been no result on locating Nancy Guthrie.
Well, Eric Jergerson, I'm curious as to what you think about these series of ransom notes, because if you analyze what Savannah is saying, this is valuable to us. She's not saying, bring my mom home for Christmas. She's not saying, bring my mom home for her birthday. This, what is this? Is she referring to her mother's body? Bring her home to celebrate, which in our culture refers to a celebration of life. We understand, and she seems to isolate that. We understand that she is dead. We understand what you're telling us. We will pay for her body. It's never too late to do the right thing. In other words, even if her mom has passed on, it's not too late. What do you make of it?
Normally, in these type of ransom demand responses, our negotiators for the FBI would typically want to humanize the victim, and they would want to use words like my mother or her first name, Nancy. They want to use these names to further humanize the victim and play into the consciousness of the abductors or kidnappers. The fact that she used this is a very interesting variation. I would read into that is that she already knew that there was either a possibility or a certainty that she had died, and when they say, for instance, the closing statement is never too late. I read into that as you know, the consequences are what they are, and although it may appear to be too late to help us, it isn't.
Joining us now is Mike Gould, founding member, NYPD K-9 Unit, former police lieutenant, and the president of the Houndstown Charity. I want you to see what Mike has been doing.
I'm standing in the foothills of the Arizona desert, a pleasant 110 degrees. I'm situated about 10 miles south of Tucson, and between Nogales and Tucson. Tucson is obviously where Nancy Guthrie disappeared. I will tell you, finding a body here would make finding a needle in a haystack as easy as can be. I would give rescue workers a little tip. If they all want to close in on a body or remains, look up, not down. Look for birds, look for vultures, look for predatory birds that are seeking food. So if they're circling around, that would be a good place to start. But if you just try to cover this area, you would need, it would be impossible. You need either a tip, an informant, or follow the birds. They'll bring you to at least probably animal carcasses, but maybe human remains. Who knows?
Don't be thrown off by the name of his charity, Houndstown Charity, like the dog, Hound. Founding member of the NYPD K-9 Unit, former police lieutenant. That just doesn't happen overnight. It's my understanding, Mike Gould, first of all, welcome to our program tonight. It's my understanding you drove from Nancy Guthrie's home all the way to Mexico. What did you learn?
Yeah, Nancy. So thanks for having me. So, I was very frustrated. I have a difficult time looking at videos and maps and hearing different things. I need to see things to properly conceptualize it. So all the talk about the route from her home to Mexico, I needed to go there to see the terrain, see the geography, to really intimately understand it. What I learned was when they talk about her being possibly found in nature, 99% of Arizona is nature. 1% is the cities, unlike New York City or other metropolitan areas. So this is a vast, vast desert, hot and humid, which is good actually for discrete recovering remains. But I found that this is going to be, it's not possible. You would need an army of humans to search anywhere within a 10-mile radius of where she disappeared from.
You are seeing from our friend Cheryl McCullum at Zone 7 podcast exactly what Mike Gould is talking about. So, Mike, are you trying to tell me that the women's group, the Buscando Corazones Nogales, is not going to find her? Because they did find over 20 sets of remains. I believe it was 25.
Yeah, well, Nancy, nothing's impossible, but as I said in that video, the first thing is searchers and rescuers very well intentioned, but if you're walking through the 110-degree desert with sticks looking down at the ground, you might get lucky and trip over a carcass or remains of a human.
Y'all, I'm going to stop it right there a second because I have a couple things to say about this. I think they forget that we're what now 100 and almost 60 days in since she's been missing. So there's that. How much would there be left? I'm not trying to be gruesome, but let's be realistic. How much of her body would actually be left? I don't think there would be enough for birds to be flying over. That's my opinion. I'm not a rescue worker at all. So yeah, there's that. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in a desert, driven I-10, California to Florida, something like that, where you've seen these deserts. Y'all, I mean, I don't even think this does it justice. I wish we could see it from a helicopter down, looking down on it, because unless she's wearing something pink or yellow, bright yellow, it would have to be. Any bright orange, maybe any other color is going to kind of blend into the desert, because the desert has many beautiful colors to it. There's so much shrub that from the air, it would be, if they dug a grave, I believe they could get low enough, if not with a helicopter, but with a drone, to see that the ground has been disturbed, right? So, but if they're that high up, they're not going to see it. And if they just threw her body out there, which I have always said I believe her to be in the Mexican desert, they could push her underneath any one of these shrubs that look very tiny, but they're not. It's huge. It's vast. It's just insane. And so there's that. And then I was thinking, when I was listening to him talk about rescuers or people that go in and do these hostage, the people they call in and they're hostage negotiators and things like that, I thought, man, I think I would like to do something like that. But then, y'all, I have such a bad attitude. If they ain't listening to me, I could just imagine going into a hostage situation at a house, right? They got somebody in the house, and you got this really nice man on his walkie-talkie, and he's talking to him, and he's being real sweet. And then they're like, Leanie, come on, you come and talk to him for a minute. Okay, I got this. And I'm like, honey, listen, we're just gonna need you to come on out. And I mean, I would do my thing, but once I had enough and they pissed me off, I'm gonna be like, listen, We're fixing to send a howitzer in there and we're going to shove it straight up your ass is what's going to happen if you don't come your ass out of there. I mean, like right now, I'm done playing games with you. I told you twice, get your ass. I'd be terrible at that job. I'd be terrible. I'd be terrible at most jobs, really. Anything that has a HR, you know, the human resource part of a company. Yeah, I can't work for places like that because I would be fired for this mouth. Dot says, okay, got to go. Take care, Leanie. I'll catch the rest tomorrow. Love you, girl. Be good. And there's lots of ants. Yeah, lots of everything. Dot says, but some dumb fuck sheriff dropped the ball. Of course, I don't know, you guys. I'm right there. I'm right there with a lot of people now. Finally, it took me a while to get there to think he really is on payroll somewhere. And I'm not talking about the good kind of payroll either. When I was talking to Mags the other day, there was something that she said to me, and I remembered it just a minute ago when I was in there switching up the laundry, what she said, and it just makes complete sense. And I'll think of it again because I get old and then the shit comes to my head. And if I don't say it right then it leaves my head and it'll come back later. So when it comes back later, then we'll talk about it. Reality Rock says, you said it right. You're not an expert. Leave it to the experts, honey. Thank you for calling me honey. My preferred word is sweetheart, though. If you are recovering remains from a prehistoric age, they can find microscopic evidence, etc. Yes, totally agree with you about that. Really, Reality Rocks. It looks like we're the same age. Here's the difference, though. Actually, there's a couple of differences, but the one I do want to point out is that when I'm not talking about bones. Bones, yes, can be recovered. Are they going to be in a body form in the same area? Probably not. Probably not. And also in the prehistoric ages, we didn't have coyotes and we didn't have hyenas and all of these meat-eating animals that we have now, because they were their food, right? They were the dinosaurs' food, some of them. And so whenever we find dinosaur bones, what happens? We find them usually all right there together. They're not scattered over miles and miles, which is what happens to human bodies out in places like this. An animal is not going to share its meat. They take the piece, and I'm not trying to be morbid, and they take off running for miles with it because they're not going to share it. And that's how you end up with bones all over the place. In the prehistoric days, there was no animals that were eating on those and distributing the bones everywhere. Usually wherever they found those types of bones from dinosaurs that you're talking about, they're in the same place. So you, honey, aren't an expert either. Let's keep going.
Or an animal, but it's going to be pure luck. There's no systemic or systematic process there. You need an informant. You need a starting area. Obviously, our home is the starting area, and that's been, I hope, fairly well searched. But once you get beyond the 1 or 2 miles from our home, you are in complete nature, varying different terrains. So the only hope in my mind is an informant, a little bit more information. And as I said, trained search and rescuers will use birds, predatory birds to bring them to a location to start. Birds and dogs are nature's biosensors. There is no technology that can duplicate what birds and dogs can do. They're the only creatures that can find microscopic odors in the environment. So human visual searches is not going to work. There's no technology. Drones, heat sourcing, because there is no heat. Any remains that is there has already assimilated into the temperature of the desert. So nature is going to be the animals, I think, are going to be the ones once they get a little bit more tip, but they're not magical instruments. You just can't let dogs go through the desert and think you're going to find something.
Okay, to Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, author of Blood Beneath My Feet on Amazon, and star of a hit podcast series, Body Bags, with Joe Scott Morgan. He is a death investigator with over 10,000 death scenes under his belt. I know you just heard everything that Mike Gould said. Translate it, death investigator talk.
Specifically, I love the analogy about, a needle in a haystack, making that look easy. I've been in this area of Arizona and Mexico. I was stationed there in the Army many, many years ago, and it is vast. It is not like working in a normal environment. Here's the thing that I'm thinking about relative to the remains. We have this group that has recovered this mass burial down in Mexico. Now, we have to emphasize the word burial. When they're saying she is with nature now, I'm wondering if this was a surface deposition of remains, because I think a lot of people are just assuming they dug a hole in the ground and placed her in there. That might not be the case, Nancy. She may be on top of the ground, and if that's the case, it is going to be very difficult to find her remains.
Because?
Scavengers after this period of time would have removed the remains to a great degree, or at least dispersed them.
Why are you airbrushing the truth? The truth is, if she had been Mrs. Guthrie, the sweet and gentle Nancy Guthrie, had been dumped unceremoniously, quote, in nature. Scavengers. You're talking about animals ripping her body apart. And Savannah, Cameron, and Annie have to go to bed every night imagining their mother somewhere, either in an unmarked grave, a shallow grave, or lying on the surface, unmarked, being torn apart by animals. I believe that's what you're saying.
Yes, that is precisely what I'm saying. I don't know how bright these individuals are that committed this crime. They might be low IQ for all I know.
Hi guys, American homeowners. To Eric.
Actually, dinosaur bones are rarely found together. I worked at the Dinosaur National Monument in Utah. I actually am an expert. Scavengers always scavenge. Ground penetrative radar, DNA search dogs, etc. They often find remains decades later using those techniques. I wasn't questioning that, and that's not what I said at all. What I said, what you were talking about, that they're finding microscopic evidence from prehistoric animals even today. Well, first of all, we don't have enough human bodies to walk out there looking for microscopic evidence. The only time you're going to find microscopic evidence is if you find some kind of body part that you could start the microscopic evidence around that area. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not here to do tit for tat with you. I believe you found dinosaurs. Congratulations. I'm not an expert. I guess you are. I mean, but you're speaking a different language totally than what I'm speaking. Okay? There's not enough people to walk the area to find microscopic evidence. That doesn't even come into play until you find a body part. And we completely understand the search dogs and the DNA. Again, DNA cannot be touched until you have found something that was close to a body part or where you see the body part at. That's when DNA would even come into this. You think they're bringing any ground penetrating radar into a desert like that? Look again. The search dogs, they've already been brought out. They won't let us know how far the search dogs actually searched in this. I'm talking about this case right here, not what happened millions of years ago or not what's happening everywhere else. I'm talking about the Nancy Guthrie case, all right? And right now, yes, search dogs were brought out. Do we know how far they were allowed to search? No. Do we think it's very far? No, because they have a sheriff who's a criminal and I believe is on payroll in some kind of trafficking down there, whether it's drugs, human, or both. Okay, so everything you're telling me is nice, but again, in order to get these tests done that you're talking about, you either have to have a piece of clothing, a shoe, something that touched the body, or you have to find a body part. Hi, Scott says, I know a guy who found one of the most complete T-Rexes. All right, let's just keep going, Nancy Grace.
Dickerson joining us, former special agent with the FBI, 20 years specializing in international kidnappings. So can we just very quickly, and I'm going to bring in David Richards and Dr. Delatorre on this as well. Eric Dickerson, you have a witness seemingly stating, I know where she is. I've seen her. She's in Mexico. Time is of the essence. Then writing back, hey, time is no longer of the essence, which supports the theory that was told to KOLD. Mrs. Guthrie perished shortly after she was kidnapped. It was unintentional. And they do express regret. My point, Eric, to you is, did we, technical legal term, F up any possibility of finding Mrs. Guthrie or her remains? Because reportedly, and I'll circle back to you, Tony and Sydney, on this, so get ready. Reportedly, Savannah wanted to pay the $4 million. She wanted to either negotiate down to something they could quickly afford or pay. But instead, law enforcement convinced her to, quote, tickle the wire. In other words, put some money in that crypto account, that's David Richards' specialty, and tickle the kidnapper to see if they could lure them into making a move. So they put in $152, which, that's about the price of Chinese food delivery for a family of 5. Okay, it didn't work, and the kidnapper was never heard from again. So, did we, Latin phrase, F up all chances of finding her by discounting those emails from the witness, the alleged witness, and by not at least negotiating anything with the perp?
Okay, that's a very good question. The first thing that law enforcement is going to do is they're going to take every piece of reporting, every ransom call, every ransom note, and they're going to look at basically minimal 3 aspects. They're going to look at the veracity, whether it's true what they're reporting. They're going to look at the credibility of the person or the sources reporting it, and they're going to look at the timeliness of that information. I am sure that in this case, they received a plethora of reporting from various sources. My understanding is both the family and law enforcement were able to determine that there was one source of credible reporting that matched in terms of an IP address, and they focused really on that. Now, to your question about the ransom demand and the tickler or the minimal payment, that is very unusual to request such a high amount of money and then pay such a low amount. As you mentioned, it could have the opposite effect of alienating this negotiation process, or basically ruining the opportunity that was presented. The intent is to find the source that withdraws the money or that accesses the $152. The flip side of that, of course, is you lose the only opportunity that you have that connects you with the abductors.
Dr. John Delatorre joining us, renowned psychologist specializing in forensic psychology, psychological consultant to Project Absentis, a nonprofit that searches for missing people. Dr. Delatorre, the frustration, the anger, the regret that the family must be feeling if their gut instinct was just pay it, pay what we can, try to negotiate, do anything, bring her home. And now we find out they've known for some time that she's very likely dead. And the law enforcement did some tickle the wire trick.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what exactly it is, the emotional states that are happening right now, because they have spent so long, and they requested this a long time ago, the body of their mother back, and they never got it. And so we're talking about anger towards law enforcement. We're talking about anger towards the kidnappers. We're talking about, I'm supposed to be this rich and powerful, news personality. Why can't I convince people to just do what I want them to do? There's so many conflicting emotions, and it's all unresolved. Was there any opportunity? I doubt that there was really any opportunity for that family to get Nancy back. However, there is still an opportunity for justice, and it's ongoing, and it still hasn't happened. So the brewing nature of it, it's so overwhelming how difficult it must be to not have any resolution when you know that you could have just paid and potentially gotten at least something instead of what you have right now, which is nothing.
And to Sydney Silvani, Crime Stories investigative reporter. So this has been in the works for some time. Law enforcement knew. Why did they not release it? We think we know why.
Well, there's a couple of reasons that are possible. First is that they thought the public may lose interest in this case if they learned that Guthrie was dead. So they wanted to keep this close to the vest to keep people bringing in tips, searching their memory for what could have possibly happened to her. They were also unable to verify that Nancy Guthrie was dead, but they wanted the chance to be able to independently verify that themselves. And lastly, they wanted to keep this close to the vest because as long as the public wasn't aware of these details, these are things that only the true kidnapper would know. So they wanted to be able to verify and make sure that they had the right person, because only the kidnapper would know what language was used in that ransom note.
Fast forward to where we are tonight. Straight out to David Richards joining us out of this jurisdiction, Arizona, founder, CEO, Blockchain Unmasked, an intelligence firm specializing in cryptocurrency-related crimes, fraud activity, asset tracing. You can find him at blockchainunmasked.com. All we have said tonight culminates in your opinion now, David Richards. Blockchain analysis, chasing crypto can be done. Do I have to say Silk Road? Do I have to say IRS, DOJ, the Zhang investigation? Recovering millions and millions of dollars through blockchain analysis. It can be done, and it can still be done.
I think in this instance, there's a bit more nuance to the situation, the facts that hasn't been fully clarified by the panel just yet. We are not privy to the case file. We don't know exactly what information was available and when. We can speculate. I will say with specifics to the Bitcoin and the ransom payment that February 6th seems to be the reported date of a letter of notice that potentially Nancy Guthrie wasn't still with us. The Bitcoin payment was made after that fact. So the question of did one cause the other, and it doesn't seem to be the case. It's potentially likely that the Bitcoin payment may not have even been by the FBI. Do we have a verification from FBI directly that says we did do this thing? Because the address was public, anybody could have made that payment. So there's still some gray area on the facts that could allow us to speculate or not on what actually happened. And without that full case file, it's a bit more challenging to look back. Hindsight is 2020. What could or should have happened? Did they make a mistake? None of us know exactly the data that they had on hand at the time of.
Well, it seems, based on what Harvey Levin is telling us from TMZ, that it is the feds, in fact, who tickled the wire and put the 152 in. Listen.
What if TMZ does a documentary and that we try and get in touch with this guy and even pay the money? And if he takes us to the location, then you get resolution. The Guthrie family gets resolution. And if he scams us, he scams us.
From TMZ. So the Bitcoin address was not public. TMZ knew about it. KOLD may have known about it, and the feds knew about it. The feds specifically did not want TMZ to pay any money. So it wasn't TMZ. It's not KOLD, process of elimination. It's the feds. Eric Dickerson, what are your observations regarding the unusual language by the perps?
The FBI and U.S. government do not pay ransoms. Now, that could be that they deposit an amount for investigative purposes and use it for that purpose. But the ransom demands and subsequent ransom payments are usually paid by the victim's family or a third person. The government has a policy of not paying ransom payments. To your question about what I'm reading into the three notes sent by the kidnappers on "she has perished," it's very unusual language to use that. But in statement analysis, we look at that as sort of distancing and minimizing the impact or the results of this crime. Perish is a much more delicate word than died or killed. As is, she is now with nature, rather than saying we have left her body somewhere. So I read into that as sort of distancing themselves and minimizing their activity in this crime. And the apologetic nature of the ransom of we're sorry about this is very unusual for organized crime or very calloused criminals. They're non-apologetic, and that would indicate to me that there is some level of remorse, and there is some level of pressure that's being applied to these criminals that they're just trying to shake off.
So early on in the live, we were talking about the different words that were used in the new notes that came through. And a couple people had brought up different things, like how they believe it's an American because the words that was used in the first letter that came to, or the one that came 3 days ago to TMZ, it said, if you give me a Bitcoin, I will tell you where the phone is that has video on it of the perpetrators on a silver platter. So then, I asked Chad, I said, if you're not from this country, is this a phrase that you use? Like, we'll serve it to you on a silver platter, or because that is something that Americans say a lot. We say that a lot. On a silver platter. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. They serve this on a silver platter. That. So there's that. And then the other word that was brought up that they used was, oh God, what was it? I don't know if Dawn is still here, but it was son of a biscuit eater. It was just one word. And it's an American slang word, like on the street, a street word. I forget what it was. So when this guy says the way that the man talked, like that she perished instead of said died, or that she's with nature instead of saying she's with God or she's buried or whatever. That makes a lot of sense to me because for years and years and years, I could not say that my mom died. I always said my mom went away for many years after, at least 3 years before my mom died. I couldn't use that word. It was too personal. It was too final. It was too, it wasn't a word I could ever say. So I would always say my mom went away and then perished, and then also buried with nature. So instead of just saying, it's over, she's, we threw her out in the desert, or we buried her here, or we buried her there. You know what I mean? It's kind of a kinder way of saying it. Now, do I look at them for using those words as being kind to the family? No. And here's why. Because if they were kind people, they wouldn't have stole her in the first place. End of.
But again, it's a very unusual thing for a criminal, especially a seasoned criminal or organized crime, to apologize for the results of their activities.
Well, also, there are speculations rampant tonight, Eric Dickerson, that the author of at least one of the notes is a female.
Yeah, that's a very interesting observation, although it doesn't fall out of the realm of possibility, because of course it could be either gender. We don't know until we know, as we say. But also, kidnappers can use somebody else to conduct the negotiation process. And that serves two purposes. One, the method in which they communicate, the language which they use, and also provides another layer of protection for the perpetrators. So it's not surprising that it could be a female, it could be a male, it could be something that's not directly involved in the physical abduction or physical kidnapping.
I think I'm trying to process everything you're saying. There's one thing I can tell you. The guy, the porch guy, we gave him that moniker at the get-go. That is not who wrote these missives. No, he's bumbling. It's not him. He did not write them. Back to David Richards joining us, CEO, blockchainunmasked.com. David, back to my original question. There have been many, many successful blockchain prosecutions. They can be traced. So can we do that now? Because we are told that the feds are working on that still. They haven't given up.
Yeah, blockchain is absolutely traceable. It's on a public ledger, so we can always, most times, determine the flow of funds from sender to recipient and onwards. So that is possible. The $152 potential sum that was deposited into the attacker's wallet is traceable if it were to move. From what I know, it hasn't moved. What I would believe is that it's not significant enough to move. However, I believe it's more likely that if, again, we're taking what Harvey said is true, the FBI or federal law enforcement did make that payment, even after the fact that they got a notice that Nancy Guthrie may not be alive, it may have been to elicit a response, an additional communication via email or some other way. The attacker says, hey, what's up with that? Something that will entice some more interaction, not just blockchain related. We can trace blockchain transactions. However, to close a case, we need a lot more evidence, open source intelligence, location information, more data to be able to identify an actor.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. In today's uncertain economy, families Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, and star of Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. Joe, what can you tell me regarding the hard evidence that we have, that we know of, that would indicate Mrs. Guthrie is dead?
I hold to this, and I have from the beginning. She was violently assaulted at Jump Street. We have her blood there. We have that blood deposition on the front porch. That's evidence that didn't just spontaneously happen. This is trauma related. She is expirating blood there. We can see it in the finer drops, and it's coming out of her nose and her mouth. So I still, I felt like that she was probably popped in the mouth or popped in the nose just to try to subdue her. Maybe she was resisting being carried out. I have no idea. And then you couple that with her need. This poor woman, Nancy, is barely ambulatory. In other words, she cannot even move around without some kind of assistance. And she's dependent upon medications, Nancy, to have any level of quality of life. All right. So she's been deprived of that. She's been traumatized. Yeah. If you're expecting me to say that I'm surprised that she's deceased, I will never say that. I've felt like this from the beginning. And so there's no surprises here. I think that all signs point to the fact that she is deceased and has been deceased for some time.
Mike Gould, who has conducted extensive searches for her, driving all the way from her home to Mexico. Mike, based on what we are hearing, without a witness, which has been totally, that bridge has been burned, finding her is truly like a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, absolutely, Nancy. One thing I'd point out, death investigations, discovery of human remains is a morbid topic, but we kind of have to talk about it bluntly. And I agree with Joseph completely. Within the first 72 hours of this case, Nancy Guthrie never fit the profile of a kidnap victim in any way, shape, or form. She was 84-year-old, pre-existing medical conditions, limited mobility, and her blood was found at the crime scene. So, and there was never ever proof of life after that fact. And again, we hope springs eternal. We would love to know that she was taken somewhere and she's being held somewhere in Mexico. We started chasing shadows, if you remember. We were looking at gloves hidden in a homeless encampment. We thought that was the glove of the person on the porch. So we're chasing shadows. And at this point, it is still like finding a needle in the haystack without an informant. Or if this possible female person is related somehow to the kidnapper and wants to soften up rather than say, my boyfriend dumped the body. She said she's in nature to soften the blow and maybe trying to, make sense of this out of guilt. These are the things that I'm hoping, and I think it might happen. I think we're going to get a little bit more information regarding finding her remains. That's going to be a little challenging. It's not going to happen without an informant or some evidence to somewhere she is, because you cannot search the Arizona desert randomly with, I don't care what technology you're using. Dogs in nature are very good, as I said, biosensors in recovering human remains. We do it quite frequently. And the Arizona desert, frankly, mummifies remains rather than liquefies them. So there are some there's possibilities. As far as scavenger animals, certainly they're going to disperse birds and scavengers. They'll disperse the remains. But dogs could, if they're in a certain area, certainly find those. They could detect those things, because frankly, it hasn't been that. Well, I'm working on a case that's 25 years old looking for a woman's remains upstate New York. So it's possible. And this case isn't going on as long as one would think. For us, we want it. It's in the public domain, and we want resolution to it. But my hope is that the case is going to be solved. Maybe not this month, maybe not this year, but it's going to be resolved, and hopefully somebody may confess to where her body is.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Stories and stream it first on Fox 1. When breaking crime news develops, we investigate it and bring it to you. Bombshell updates, answers to unanswered questions from cases making the headlines and cases you may never have heard of until Crime Stories. We go inside investigations with exclusive interviews, crime victims, families seeking justice, investigators.
To Tony Bruschi joining us, podcast star of Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Tony, apology, schmapology, don't care. All last night, the social media, the internet was breaking with, they did apologize. No, they didn't. Who cares? If she's dead, who cares? If it was intentional, not intentional, because a felony murder. If a death occurs during the commission of a felony, that case is prosecuted as murder one, which triggers the Arizona death penalty, which right now is the needle. So we've got an assortment of underlying felonies. You can go with burglary. Her home was burgled. That's the first felony. Second, kidnap, taken even if just out her front door. Under the legal theory of asportation, if I kidnap you and I take you 2 inches, it's a kidnap versus to Mexico, still a kidnap. There's no legal requirement of how far you have to take the victim. So I've already got burglary, kidnap, aggravated assault. Do I need a gun? Do I need a knife? No, I do not. The weapon for aggravated assault can be a car. It can be a baseball bat. It can be a foot. It can be a hand. Aggravated assault. I've already named 3 felonies to underlie felony murder. I don't care who says we're sorry.
Yeah.
If this is all true, Mrs. Guthrie is dead. And Savannah, Annie, and Cameron have to live with that every day. In nature, my rear end. That's a disposal site somewhere in the Mexican desert. That's what in nature means. It makes me think of, have you ever seen Snow White? And she goes out and the little birds are flying all around her. What a crock of BS in nature. I want her brought home for a proper burial. I want these jackals behind bars at the least.
Yeah, without a doubt, you want these people behind bars, and I think what the key part of this is these notes, these pieces of information that we're now learning about, they tell us something about who these people are more than it is softening the blow of what happened. It tells us a note like this probably did not come from a career criminal. It probably did not come from someone who has a lot of reps in kidnapping people. When you look at this, does any of this sound like anyone truly even wanted to have Nancy Guthrie in their possession to begin with? This feels much more like someone was trying to find a way to basically monetize a mistake. And they realized, oh, it's not so easy to get a ransom paid to begin with. And then did the best they could with not a lot of knowledge on the topic. So while the notes, I feel the rage, putting words in there that softened the blow, but I don't think that's the intent. I think what we need to glean out of this is probably not a cartel. This is probably not a career criminal. This is probably someone who went in for something other than Nancy, maybe even the wrong house is how I am looking at this, and ended up in a debacle that they took a shot at maybe monetizing, didn't work out too well, and now they have gone underground. And if we want to get them to communicate, we need to inspire them to. And I think being after going, here's all the things we're going to get you for, we're going to put you to death, that's the last thing that's going to get them to come forward. And that's what the verbiage.
Well, if anyone hasn't come forward with $1.2+ million on the table, they ain't.
They ain't.
We're going to need a witness. Speaking of, if you know or think you know anything about Mrs. Guthrie's disappearance, Call toll free 800-225-5324. The reward $1.2 million plus still on the table. We remember America.
All right, y'all. And that is my boo thing, y'all. That's my boo thing. I love me some Nancy. I don't know. Hi, Melly Joe. I still kind of feel like, because I really do believe there was at least 2 people there that night that took her out of the house. And if it was done, if there was a mastermind behind it, which I do think there was, I think it's highly possible both of those people who took her are dead, or at least one of them are dead. Because that's a lot of money. I mean, I could probably live the rest of my life on just that money. And when it comes to that kind of stuff, I mean, are you really going to trust the person who was with you and did this crime not to go and turn you guys in so his family can have some money? Or especially if one of the guys was made to do it for a reason, or whatever, you just never know the scenario, why there was at least 2 people there, whose idea it was. Is one of them made to do it because they owed money to this other person? We don't know. We don't know the reasoning behind it, but with 1.2 million, I'm big time shocked that somebody hasn't squealed, because if somebody offered me $200, I mean, if me and Maggie were doing something like robbing a bank, or I'd turn Maggie in a heartbeat. I'd be like, Maggie did it. She made me do it with her, y'all. So no, but 1.2 million, I'm surprised. I'm real surprised that an anonymous something has not been said. So wouldn't put it, I wouldn't be surprised at all if one of those people or all of those people that abducted her aren't dead. That's just my theory. Y'all think on that for a little while. But listen, with that money on the line, someone will come forward. I don't understand why it hasn't happened yet. That's why I tend to believe that they're dead, or one of them is dead, so they wouldn't bust out the other one. But that's just my theory on it. You guys are welcome to your own. We've done this for 2.5 hours, so I am going to get off here. I need some sleep. I need some cold hard sleep, y'all. So I'm going to get off here. With that, I want to thank all of you guys for being here. Everybody that hit the thumbs up for me, I appreciate you guys so much. In any way that you support this channel, it means a lot to me, and I thank you so much for that. Really, I do. Especially the chatters. I love people who come in here, even if we don't agree. I just appreciate somebody challenging me to think in a different kind of a way, because I'm not right all the time. Nobody is. And we could actually learn if we could have conversations, and that's what I love. Hey, little girl, nobody wants your ball. Stop. Little girl. Y'all, can you tell the golden retrievers have woke up? And a little girl is fussing because she's got 2 balls in her mouth. I've got 3 golden retrievers. I've got 1 little girl and 2 boys. And everybody woke up, and she's got 2 balls in her mouth, and she's daring both of them try to take this ball from me. See what happens. But anyways, more conversations need to be had. That's the truth. It's the only way we're going to learn, you guys. Really, it really is. Just come with open minds, hear people out. And I don't know about you, but I take away a lot, especially with people who like, no offense, but with Reality Rocks, the things that he said tonight, I'll leave here and I'll think about that. And I will probably do some research on it because that's just who I am. Am I mad that he thinks a little bit different of how remains could be found than me? No, not at all. I'm glad he told me. Now I can do my own research on it. So that's how we learn things, and that's how we learn from each other, and that makes me doing this channel, for me, it makes it worth it. So anyways, I appreciate all of you guys for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Y'all be good or be good at it. And if you can't be good at it, y'all take some video, because I need content and I love to laugh at people. So take that video. See you guys next time. Be good, guys. Bye. All right, go sit down. Go down.